Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. This is Amy, and if you're new, welcome too. Yeah, we're here for Book Talk Thursday. I'm recording this on a Wednesday, by the way. But yeah, I got my coffee here. I'm finishing up in my little pineapple mug. Yeah, I think I got this at Walmart. It's been a few years. I didn't use it very much this year. This is one of my summertime cups I like to use. Got a little bit of texture. It's a nice cup. Anyway, I had to get that drink down because we got a lot of talk. A lot to talk about. Yeah. So let's do the weather update. Weather update. We got the park fire, little fire update, still going on. I don't know when that. Right now, as of today, I think they have 18% of it contained, and 389,791 acres have been burned. And this is Butte and Tehama counties here in California, Northern California. And I got some. Sorry. I think 100 homes have been destroyed. It's terrible. And I think total structures destroyed. I think it's maybe a little over 300 structures. I'm not sure. I thought I seen that somewhere on the internet the other day. But yeah, it's pretty bad. That's as of Wednesday today. Today, July 31st, 2024. And yeah, it's pretty bad. So hopefully the winds it's not blowing the smoke this way. It hasn't been the last few days. It's been blowing it out, I think towards the east, northeast or something, because our air quality has been a lot better since, well, the last it was bad was a few days ago. But yeah. So today, the weather update, enough of the fire update. Today's supposed to be 100 degrees. Now, that's a lot better than 105, but I noticed that it is going to be 105, or it says yesterday was 94. So today, Wednesday, is 100. Tomorrow is supposed to be 105. We'll see. It's been going a few degrees less uh, than what it says on my phone, on my weather app here. But it's going down to 100 again on Friday. Saturday would be 104. Then we got 106, 103, 102 on Tuesday. And then I think at the beginning of, I think it said through the 10th, there was some 100s, and then it might drop a little after that. I'm hoping it's going to go back down starting in August. Not going to get many of those over 102s or something. I hope not. But yep, that's the short weather update today because we got to get on our Book Talk Thursday, even though I'm recording on Wednesday. But you're seeing this on Thursday, so it's Book Talk Thursday. Yeah, and that's the weather. And I had a quite a good reading month for July. I I had finished 2 books that are not on this list that I'm gonna loop them in the August book reviews. But yeah, I got a stack. I have added to my August TBR, which is crazy knowing that I've been a slow reader and haven't gotten through this many books in quite a while. And the stack that I have for August it's outrageous. It's crazy. It's outrageous. I have went out of control. Um, I am out of control. But that's okay. Get excited about books. I keep throwing things on the pile. I don't know if I'm going to get through them all, but I'm trying really hard because I have probably like 4, maybe if one book that's in transit to the library that I have on hold comes in by the time I go to town tomorrow. That would be great. That means I have 5 books to pick up. As of now, I have 2 books to drop off. And I got to finish about 4 by the 7th. I got to take some back. So anyway, having a good reading month. I'm enjoying, so far I've enjoyed everything I've read, I think. I don't think I've had a bad one. I think the lowest star rating I had was maybe a 3, but that's still pretty good. That's still good. So let's get on with this book reviews for June and July, what I finished. Let me find, well, in a May one. The one I finished in May was Susan, Linda, Nina, and Koki by Lisa Napoli. It's the founding mothers of NPR. So that was a great book. That had a lot of great information that I didn't know about the starting of the NPR radio broadcasting and all the um, so actually, men were the head of starting it, and then these women, well, they call them the founding mothers, is they came along and were taking up roles that really women hadn't been given the chance to do, especially in broadcasting, whether that be in television or radio. There were some women out there. There were some women out there doing stuff, but there wasn't very many. So these women really took, and they had more, they eventually had more, what would you call, higher job rankings. Um, yeah. So these women, if you want to read this, it's really interesting. It goes over their life, their early life, a little bit of their family history, their parents, and how they were raised, where they were raised, how they started thinking about broadcasting or politics and news and reporting in their lives, and married and family, and continuing on with their jobs, also working mothers, wives. Yeah, it was 60s, 70s is when this is going on, and they were starting, like I said, this NPR broadcasting, radio broadcasting, um around the country. And it was just really interesting. I gave it a 4 star because it was a non it's a nonfiction, of course, obviously, but I really enjoyed learning about stuff that I had no idea about this. I listen to NPR. I enjoy NPR, and the different, in my, uh, say, the local public broadcasting radio that I have. I usually always have it on that channel in my car. When I'm going, I just I listen to a lot of classical music in the car, but I listen to, obviously, since I've gotten the Libby app on my phone, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Just when you're in your car, driving around, running errands, and you have to spend some time in traffic or going from here to there, whatever. Um, I enjoy the NPR. It's out of Sac State, our public radio. Um, but they have NPR broadcasts too. But like I said, a lot of time in the daytime, it's classical. I like classical music. Not gonna deny it. I love it. I'm not ashamed of it. And I also like classical jazz. So I know at nights, there's nights that our station does j- jazz. But I'm usually, I don't drive a lot at night anymore because I don't need to. I work at home, so I don't need to. I don't. I can go to town when I need to usually. So yeah. So I don't like driving at night, honestly. I mean, there's crazy people out there in the daytime on the road. You think I want to be out on the road at night with crazy people? And no, no, that's me. But yeah. So Susan, Linda, Nina, Koki, I gave it a 4 star. It was published in 2021, I think is what it says. And I read the ebook off of the Libby app through the library, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it had a lot of uh great information that I didn't know about these lady. I didn't know. I knew one lady, Koki Roberts. Um and the other three I did not. So it was interesting to learn about these women and their contributions to the public radio and broadcasting, and just, you know, their women in the workforce in general, and their background of their families and where they came from, and how, um just that type of stuff. It was really good. So if you're interested in looking into something like that and learning more about, you know, um, some roles of some women in some in the workforce, and during the times of the 60s and 70s when women weren't um, getting those head positions that, it was mostly a men's, workforce, head of the company or whatever, men were the bosses. But these ladies s- strove to make a good path for other women in the areas of, broadcasting, not just radio, but every TV. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would have given it a 5, but it wasn't. It took me so long to read it. I think it's just one of those nonfiction. It's there's not going to be a lot of thriller stuff. Nobody killed anybody. There's people. There was uh, you know, dislikes in the workplace, but I mean that just seems like a normal. That just seems like it happens, no matter what year you're in. But yeah, some parts were a little slow for me. Like I said, I'm used to reading a lot of fiction and thriller and stuff, so um but I did give it 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. I really am recommending it to anybody that wants to read about, some women who were leading the way in a certain position. This will be a good one, I think. And like I said, it explains a lot about how they grew up in their family and how they made it to their um, position they were in the um, radio broadcasting. So yeah, Susan, Linda, Nina, and Koki by Lisa Napoli. Let's see. And trying to go with it like that. So that's the oldest one. That was May. I started that in May. So I have some from June. We'll do June next. I have 3 books from June. And then there's books from June that's rolled over into uh July, I think, because I didn't, or I haven't finished all of June. I think I have a couple of, yeah, because I'm still reading it. That was a June book, and I also have I bring up, oh, I could did it on the computer. Anyway, um, there's an audiobook I'm still listening to. I'm 71% done with Town and a Blueberry Jam. That one's going okay. I'm not overly excited about that one. It's just a cozy mystery, a little cozy mystery, and it's a cute one. Right now I'm thinking it's going to be a 3 star because I'm not overly enjoying it. Um, but it's cute. I mean, I like it. But there is a couple of other, an ebook, an audio. I think the audio, yeah, those two. There's a ebook I haven't got to yet. It's the Joanne Fluke Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder. It's the Hannah Swenson series. That's the first one in the series. I haven't started that yet. That's on my August TBR. And the Motorhomes Maps and Murder by Tanya Kappas. That's an audio. It's 5 hours. I figured it's not going to take me long to get through that one, but I'm really enjoying the Tanya Kappas Campers and Criminal series. That is, I haven't gotten to those, so there's a few left on my June. Well, that was for August. June is it, and the Blueberry Town and a Blueberry Jam is still from June. But anyway, so my June reviews. Should put that. One of the main books I had for June that I really wanted to read, and I was for the Normandy invasion in World War II. The 80th anniversary was this past June. Um, really excited to look up some. I had some other books I wanted to get for that. I was trying to read, but when they became available, I wasn't able to get through them. So I just thought I'd save them for another time, possibly next year. But I did get through 2 books that I wanted to read to commemorate the Normandy invasion in 1944, June 6th, 1944, um, D-Day. Um, so this one, I was really excited. I found this on the internet and I really wanted to read it. And it's D-Day Girls by Sarah Rose, and it was published in 2019. I gave that 4 stars. That was excellent. I mean, I didn't give it 5 because there was probably some stuff in there that was just at a lull or whatever. I listened to the audio. It was 10 hours, and it's a nonfiction history, World War II. But yeah, man, that book, that was good. It was about these women. It basically talked about the roles. There was like, I think, 3 women, and I didn't write that down. Anyway, I'll put their names up on the screen. But these 3 women that worked to go undercover and spy and disrupt the Nazis before the Allied invaded, um, getting the secrets and stuff like that from the Nazis and giving them to the Allies and sabotaging and just they were trained to do everything like to I think code, send messages, um, to learn how to blow up a bridge, like to going undercover just to and pretty much, I mean, they had I guess what you would call from the movies and the TV, a handler. There was somebody there, a male figure that they would report back to give this information or send the information on back to, and so these women they sent to France. Some of them are French citizens and they came to England, and then they wanted to help and with this war effort, and they were decided to hire some women who would be pretty much non-suspecting by the Nazis to help um, with the Allies' war effort to take the Nazis out. And man, that was a good book. I cried at parts. There was sad, hard moments, near the end, but all throughout, it was just amazing knowing that these were actually real women who did this stuff, and from the notes, the diaries, they were, I think it was, made available to the public, some of it now, and what these women did and went through. And I will say that not all of them survived. Not going to give away too much spoilers, but yeah, a couple were captured, and it was they didn't go to the camps like they took the Jewish people to the camps at Auschwitz or Birkenwald or one of those death camps or another camp. They were more like when they were the ones that were captured were sent to this prison that they kept for traitors and spies or whatever that they could torture and get information out of. Basically, that's what this prison was for, is to get information from people that they knew were traitors, spies, um, saboteurs, and yeah, it was quite a rough read at some points. But this book, I do this one I had got, like I said, the audio through my Libby app, but I am going to buy this book because I think this is something I will definitely reread. The information that I got from that, the different things that happened that I had no idea about these women working, unless you see a movie or TV show about something, and you're like, oh yeah, they did that. Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that. But this had to do with the reasons why they wanted to do this, and at the beginning when they signed up to be these saboteur spies in France, um and some had families, children, and the other people they worked with, so there's these other, like, say, characters, people they worked with, and I had talked about the fate of some of those near the end when um pretty much it goes before the Allied invasion, when the Allies were planning to invade and do this, and trying to gather information. Well, this went on several years, I believe, before this ever was put together, that they had a date that they were going to do it, to invade Normandy. So this was in working, long before the invasion, to gather the information the Allies needed to, where to go, what would be the best way to do this. And there were women who were in on this, working at this, along with men in the um, military men, and the other people spying, the citizens or whatever. Um, but yeah, it was a good read. I thoroughly I say enjoyed it. I mean, it's a real life, it really happened. So, um, it was sad, and it was just amazing all at the same time. And yeah, just the lives these women led to be able to do this was amazing. And that's just the main people were three women, mainly three women they talked about. So, but there's a whole bunch out there that did stuff that's not, named, but the workings of how all this worked out had to do with other people had to be in certain positions to get all this, done. So I can't say enough about that. D-Day Girls by Sarah Rose. That was great. And I love that I listened to the audio, because some of the pronunciations in the book, I can't talk right now. Probably would have had a hard time trying to figure out the correct way to pronounce it, words or phrases. And with Sarah, the author was the narrator, and apparently she has some knowledge of German and French, because her pronunciations of the German words or phrases and the French one are very good. So I'm glad I did it that way at first, so I'd have an idea of how it's pronounced. But yeah, that was awesome. I highly recommend that. And the next one, for the commemorating the D-Day, June 6th, 1944, was this one I came across. This is audio also. It's The Bedford Boys by Alex Kershaw. It was published in 2003. I also gave this 4 stars. It was a really good book. It talked about these men from this small town in Bedford, Virginia, Carolina. I think it's Virginia. I'll pop it up. I'll have to look it up. But it's a nonfiction history, World War II, and it was 8 hour. It was an 8 hour audio, and gosh, so there was I think it was 21 men from this. It's a small town in wherever I said, um, that went off to war in World War II, and these were the men that were part of the group that stormed the beaches of Normandy on June 6th. And that these 21 men died doing this within the first minutes, hours of them landing on the beaches of Normandy. So that was really, so this book talked about this group of men, in their town, and how they were, and their families, and them going off to the training. And what I didn't realize when they were talking in this book was that at the training where they went to in England, I think it was, when they were doing their final training before while they were still, the Allies were still setting up this Normandy invasion. They were gathering troops to train, before they just shipped them off on these boats. Hey, go for it. Um, some some men in the when they were training actually were injured or died in this training also, which was, I've never heard about that. I'm assuming, I mean, you can get hurt or killed anywhere, but that's not something you really hear about a lot. I didn't. So there was that, their training, and then when they finally decided when the invasion was going to be, these guys didn't know where they were going. They knew they were going on a mission, and they would communicate, writing back to their families. Some were married, had kids, or they had girlfriends, or they had mothers, sisters, they had families, and they would write back. And before, the hours before or whatever, that they had some had written home or whatever and said, "Look, I got this mission I'm going on, and I don't I don't know if I'm coming back." And so they, some of them told their families, but their families didn't know where they're going. They didn't know exactly what was going to happen or where they were going or what was happening and what was in the plan. And then so the people at home, of course, at this time, a lot of people had radios, over television. They had radios and they listened to, the news updates, the broadcasts of during World War II, what was going on overseas, and just different stuff like that. I know in my family, personally, with my parents, their grandparents, I know at the time, and my mom had brothers that were um, in the military at this time, or I know she had a couple of uncles that were over in Europe after the invasion. They were in. One uncle was in. I have a picture. He loved taking pictures, and I have a picture of the Eiffel Tower he took when he was there, and he also was in went to Germany, and he just took a lot of pictures. He took a lot of pictures. There's pictures of when he was in Germany with there was some kids he took pictures of, just on his mission wherever he was assigned. But yeah, so that kind of, for a lot of people, it hits close to home because you would have a relative of that time that may have been in the war, because a lot of men went to war. At this time, we sent a lot of guys there. But these men, the Bedford Boys, they're called because they're from Bedford, um, Virginia. Um, all the ones they're talking about, these 20, I think it was 21 men, they died. They didn't come back. But like I said, they sent notes home. So when the people are at home listening and they're finding out about this invasion, maybe a day or so later from their radio broadcasts or whatever, they realize that with some of these, that such and such wrote home and said he was going to be in this one mission, that he had no, they knew that he was probably in that group that was at Normandy. Um, but yeah, so there later in the story, after the invasion and when these men were getting killed, and then the government writing telegrams, sending home saying to these friends, family, wives, mothers, that their people were killed. At one point, this town had so many, you know, they probably didn't get used to having this many telegrams coming in at once. Could have been a dozen in one day coming in, say, "We regret to inform you that your, whoever's son, husband, brother was killed in action." They had to recruit people. The lady that did the telegraph service or whatever it was had to recruit some people from town to deliver these messages because she didn't have enough people to go out and deliver these. So, yeah, it was a hard thing. It was hard knowing that all these, and I think this group was the largest of one group in this largest, or how do I want to say this? The largest amount of men that died from one town. I think, yeah, that's what I would say. So it was a small town, and then to lose this many men was a lot. And then it went on after the invasion, then people that survived that came back home, how they dealt with it. It affected their lives and other people around them, and the ones that lost loved ones, also how they were affected, and it just goes into that a little bit near the end after the invasion. But yeah, this was a really good. I think I would probably get this book too, The Bedford Boys by Alex Kershaw, just because I listened to the audio. But that was a good book. It was a good understanding of this small town and what they went through before, when their friends and relatives were sent off, and then to the ones that didn't come back, and how it affected the town too, not just the families, but as a whole town. anyway, that one was really good. I'm just trying to keep it short. And then the last one in June I had was The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the last book in the trilogy. I gave this 4 stars, and I read the ebook. And yeah, this was the last one in the Indian Lake trilogy, and I've really enjoyed all of them. I'm gonna say I'm not sure. I don't know. I think the first one probably would be my favorite, just because it was initially the first one. But Indian Lake, I I really loved it. And the way it ended was, I'm not going to give any spoilers. Was I thought that, you know what, Stephen, if he really really wanted to, he could actually do another book. I thought this would be a good book for a standalone book, not connected to the trilogy, but the way it ended, that they could be another book. I really want this. I really wanted the series to continue. I really enjoyed it, and I was sad that that was the last one. But yeah, it's about this character, Jade Daniels. She's from the small town of Proof Rock, Idaho. I don't know that it's a real town, but it's set in Idaho, and she is a slasher horror movie fan to the to the to the top, over the top. Jade is, her name's Jennifer, but she went by Jade, and then later on in the book she'll go back to Jennifer. But yeah, it's just a fantastic read. I love all the reference, because in the first book she wrote, she had a history teacher, and she would write all these papers, her that he would assign, you know, uh, writing a paper, and she would twist it into some kind of horror slasher paper according to the topic that he assigned. So it was really awesome, because it would read as those in some parts of the book. This is the first one. And then she her knowledge of the slasher genre, a lot of references. I knew what she was talking about. If you've ever seen a lot of horror movies or whatever. I mean, I'm not like a big over the top horror fan, but there's some movies that are classics that I've watched, and I will continue, to watch over and over again, and some of them I like. If it's not too gory. I don't like a lot of gore, even though I do read some horror that has graphic, and this was graphic. So these three books are graphic, and The Angel of Indian Lake was graphic, and it's a graphic horror, not a graphic novel, just a. But yeah, so she continues on to the third book, and at first she was not wanting to be a part of this. She was obsessed with, there's going to be this horror thing happening in town. She thought some people were getting killed, and then she thought it was um like happening like a horror movie, and she had to find, she knew there was a new girl in town, and she had decided, she thought that this new girl in town, Letha, was the final girl that's going to end all this horror and madness and killing. And so she started becoming, sort of friends at the beginning, and then by the second book they were friends, and then the third book, they're really close friends. And she still thinks that Letha is the final girl, even though, she's she's she has the knowledge and the um background of knowing about horror and slasher. And she probably should have been the final girl. She should have picked herself as final girl, but she didn't want to be the final girl. She wanted, that was not what she wanted. She wanted to tell somebody else how to be the final girl and stay out of it. And so it continued on in this third one, because she went away for a while. And anyway, you read the book, so I'm not going to give any spoilers, but she's back in the third one. And of course things are happening. She's a teacher now at the high school, because her there's a history class opening that she became the teacher for. And so in this one, a couple of her students go missing, and she's like, uh-oh, what's happening again? And she's like, nope, nope, I'm not going to have anything to do. I don't want anything to do it. I'm going to sit on the sidelines, and I'm going to let everybody else, the sheriff and everybody else, deal with it. And so she's really convinced herself that she's just staying out of it. But things come around in this book that she can't really stay out of it. Things happen that it just kind of plummets her back into the whole horror slasher scenario. she's not liking it, but she's just like, it's one of those things you just got to suck it up and do it. But yeah, so it's gory and graphic just like the other ones. It's a horror slasher genre, and Jade Daniels is still there trying not to be the final girl, which is, it has funny parts and then of course has gross parts. But I did really enjoy the series. I thought the Indian Lake series is good, and I've read a couple more of Stephen Graham Jones since then, and I've enjoyed his writing. One, I was okay, but you know, it's there's a so one of the books I have on hold. No, that's Grady Hendrix. Never. I do have his latest, Stephen Graham Jones' latest novel on hold at the library. It says I'm first in line, but it's been saying that for about a week, so I don't know where that's at. But I was a teenage slasher. I'm really excited to be able to get to read that one because that sounds interesting. But yeah, so that was my June and May reviews that I got through. And then for my July, I got through, like I said, quite a bit. I think there's 7. Nope, I have 8. Oh, it's probably because I finished one by my last count. But yeah, I finished 8 books in July so far. Actually, no, I finished 10 because 2 of them are not on this reviews. But the first one I will say is another Stephen Graham Jones novel. It's Night of the Mannequins. It was a um, short story. It was a very short audio. It was 3 hours. I chose to do the audio 3 hours. Um, I gave this 3 stars. I thought it was okay. I mean, I liked it in some parts, and the ending was um, interesting. I didn't like it as much as the Indian Lake trilogy. Um, I just it was kind of weird for me. It's a horror, fiction horror novella, thriller, but the gist of this is that these uh kids found this mannequin in a ditch or somewhere, and or a ravine, and they thought it'd be fun to pull a prank on one of their friends, this girl that works at this movie theater. They thought it would be fun to bring this mannequin and dress him up and sit him in the audience. And so they did that, and then they thought, some things started happening, and they thought this mannequin, or this one guy, the main, I can think of the main character, I can't think of his name, thinks that this mannequin is now killing people and murdering people. And so he's got to try to find a way to stop this mannequin from from slashing his way through town, because a couple of people have died. And so he's really like, oh my god, this mannequin, we should have never brought him out of that, ditch, and did all this. It's our fault, my fault. I got to fix it. And so his mission is trying to stop this mannequin from killing. Well, the way it ends is really not disappointing. It was just a little surprising. Not a big thriller surprise, but it was interesting. I found it interesting the way that Stephen wrote this novella, how for the ending. Um, but then I was like, man, this is crazy. This guy's crazy. Not Steven, the the character. Um, yeah, then you like think about it, and you're like, mm, anyway, I can't really say much about how, other than this mannequin they think is killing, and this kid's got to try to stop this mannequin from killing. But anyway, it was a neat little read. Like I said, it's 3 hour audio, and it's a very short book. So I mean, if you're interested in Stephen Graham Jones, this would be a really quick read or listen, whatever you wanted. And it's interesting. It's different than the Angel Lake. Trying to think if that's the only Stephen Graham Jones besides this one I read. I thought there was another one. I thought there was I have the one on hold, but mm, mm, no. Yeah. So the Indian Lake trilogy, and then this one, and then I'm waiting on the. No. Oh, no, no, no. Was that? No, that was great. I'm getting Grady Hendrix mixed up in this too, because there's a couple of his, and it kind of reminds me of Stephen Graham Jones and also Riley Sager. But Yeah. So I'm thinking if you like the Stephen Graham Jones writing, you might also like um, Grady Hendrix or maybe Riley Sager too. Because Riley Sager has The Final Girls, which is like a slasher horror. But then Grady Hendrix always, Grady Hendrix has The Last Final Girl, which I like that a lot better than Riley Sager's Final Girl. I'm not going to really go into that because I've already read it. It's not part of these reviews, but you might like those. So that is just a very short Night of the Mannequins review. Like I said, 3 stars. I didn't overly love it, but it was a fun little interesting read. So I did give it a 3. And then the one of them I just finished, which was still for July, was The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. Speaking of Riley Sager, I gave that 4 stars. I didn't know if how good I was going to enjoy that or not because I tried this last fall to read it and I really wasn't interested in it. And I set it aside and I thought this might be it's about summer camp. And I thought this is probably something in the summer I would want to read because it has summer camp and it's got, thriller summer camp vibes all over it. So, yeah, I ended up really enjoying this. I surprised myself because I didn't think it was going to be I thought it might be a 3, but I did end up giving it a 4. And this is about a lady um who I'll pop her name up for some, I for having a note card, I don't write the information I should have written down for notes. So we're going to have to pop up names because for some reason I am horrible at remembering the names of the people a lot of times that I've just read. But anyway, this gal, she went to summer camp when she was a teenager, like 13 or something. She went off to this posh, rich people summer camp. It was a lot of, she went to this one school, a private school, and a lot of her classmates went to this camp or had been to this camp. And so anyway, she's an only child. She goes off to this camp. Her parents send her there. And she before she had wanted to go to this camp and her parents didn't send her. So now she wakes up one morning and her mom says, "Oh yeah, you're going to the summer camp." And then she's like getting mad that like all of a sudden she had these plans for summer and now she's going off to summer camp. But then secretly she like hides under her covers and she's smiling and she's excited that she's going to this camp. But anyway, she's 13 and she's the last one at camp and the cabins are full except for this one where she ends up being in these older girls' cabin. I think they're like 16, somewhere around in there. And they become friends. She becomes friends with the main gal in the cabin and she's 16 and you find out that this girl she had an older sister that died and she drowned. And so these two girls become friends. Well, what happens is while she's there at summer camp, probably, uh, I don't know if it's halfway through summer camp, these 3 girls in her cabin go missing. Nobody knows what happened to them. Um, there's a little thing. The reason it's called The Last Time I Lied was she had told some things to the police when they came to look for these girls, and they never found them. So they disappeared. They never found them. They didn't know if they were dead or alive. So with I think some or all of them, their parents declared, after so many years, declared them their kids dead. So they're presumed dead. So what happens? This lady, the main gal, becomes an artist, a painter, and she sells these paintings. And the painting she's been painting is like this So this summer camp's in I think Upper New York. It's a camp with this lake, and this lady that owns it, Franny, her her grandfather uh owned all this land and it trickled down in the family and now she owns it. She owns this camp. It was turned into a camp. Used to be some lumber place and then anyway, it tells about how it became a camp and what happened to this previous community that used to be there. Um but yeah, so this lady owns this camp and so this girl that uh been at this camp. She's now paints these paintings of this forest, like a forest background, and then she paints these girls in these little white dresses in the background in this camp, and then she covers them up. But she's really the only one that knows these girls she's painted, and she's been painting this for years, and it's been 15 years later since this tragedy happened at this camp. So this lady, she has a art opening, and this lady Franny that owns this camp ends up coming to this art opening, and then they talk later, and Franny wants to invite um what's her name to back to camp. She's opening it up. So the camp shut down after these girls, and now she's wanting to open it up again. And she invites her to come back to this camp and to see, like, to show, like, hey, it's okay. Nothing bad's going to happen. We've revamped this camp and it's all good again. And I'd like you to come back and teach some art classes and, just see how it is. Um, so it seems like there's ulterior motives there why Franny wants to invite, what's her face. I'm calling her what's her face because I can't remember. Back to camp. It's gonna hit me after I do this video though. Um, her name. Invites her back to camp. And so that first she doesn't want to go, and then she talks to one of her friends, and he's like, you know what, maybe it would help you, and then she's like at this point in her life that she keeps painting the same picture, different, a little bit different, but the same type theme and series for years. She's been doing this, and she's tried to paint other things and she couldn't. So she decides, okay, yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go over there for two reasons. Maybe this will help me out. Yeah, two, and one and two is I'm going to see if I can finally find out what happened to these girls. She's going to solve the mystery. She might not find them, but she's definitely thinking she's going there to find out what happened to them. So she has two reasons. So she goes back there, and so what happens is the way the camp uh cabin thing is going. I think she has to. They have um an adult camp counselor, whatever, in each cabin with some girl. It's all girls camp, um, with some girls. So this girl, she has to go into this cabin. So she asks the lady, Franny, if she can go back into the cabin that she had when she was there last time. So she wants to go back to the same cabin. Why? She has ulterior motives. Personally, me, I'd be like, no, hell no. And one, I'm not going back to that camp. But she did. So she goes back to stays in the same cabin and so she has three new charges that she's in charge to look after these three girls, and they become friends. So it's kind of like she's having these flashbacks of what happened 15 years ago, and then she's going off and exploring in the meantime and finding these clues left from, oh, the girl from the cabin from when she was there as a kid. The friend she made was named Vivian. And so Vivian left these clues. She had a diary that she found. And so she's kind of enlisted these girls. They don't know it, but they're kind of like helping her snoop around. Um, so anyway, so the gist of it is these three girls now go missing. And she's like thinking she's going crazy and people are watching her and all this other stuff's going on. So you get to the end, she's got to find these girls whether it kills her or not, because who she suspected early on may or may not still be involved, the may have not done it to the girls when she was young, or still could be involved, and that everybody thinks that he really didn't. She thinks that the guy, the one of the sons of the owner, Franny, was involved originally. But then she's kind of convinced herself that he's not, and she made a mistake, and she said some things to the police that she shouldn't have. So this whole title is like she had said some things um, that weren't necessarily. And I will say, the way it sets it up, seems like a really big, huge lie. I mean, it was a lie that hurt some people's feelings and caused some distress mentally. Yeah, uh, but it wasn't what I thought. Anyway, so at the end, they were looking for these girls, and I'm not going to tell you how it ends because it's a spoiler, and I'm not going to do it. You can read it. or you can Google it. But yeah, so at the end is really, it really picks up a lot, and especially when these girls go missing, and the whole thing is coming down to, is she crazy? Is something happening that, I didn't suspect? Did I suspect the right person? And then at the very end, like after it's worked out, whatever happens happens, and then at the end there's still another little twist, and I was like, oh, I didn't figure that one. So that's the reason I ended up really enjoying it, because at the end there was a really good little twist that I honestly didn't see coming. I didn't think about it like that. So yeah, The Last Time I Lie by Riley Sager. I really like this one. The only other Riley Sager I have read is The Final Girls. Yeah, Final Girls, and I like that one. It was okay. I think I gave that a 3, but I really like this one more. And I have a couple other Riley Sagers on my list for the summer. So, and one of them I have right now, which is Lock Every Door, and then I have one on reserve, two on reserved. I have the new one. Um, was it Middle of the Night or something like that? The newest one, and then I also have. I think that one's ready for me to pick up. Is House Across a Lake, something like that. But I'll pop those up. Those I still have. So I have 3 Riley Sagers still to read for the summer. So we're gonna find out if The Last Time I Lied is still at the top of the stack for Riley Sager. But anyway, so the next one is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. Now, I've read his other two, The Maidens and The Silent Patient, and I like those. I think I like The Maidens more than I like The Silent Patient. I know a lot of people on BookTube, when The Silent Patient, people were reading it, a lot of people really liked it and gave it 5 stars. I think I probably gave that a 4. I liked it. I didn't think it was, a lot of people were thinking it was really over the top and really great, and I didn't think it is great as what I mean, it wasn't a 5 star for me. But this one, The Fury, this is his latest one. It came out this year, I think January. But I gave it 5 stars. I gave The Fury 5 stars because this one kept me very interested at every step of the way. It was written differently. It was written like somebody who writes, not exactly, but there was a play aspect to it, like a, a Greek tragedy uh, play aspect. Of course, he's Greek, and his novels always have this Greek either characters, background, or whatever. Um, so I really enjoyed that. I enjoy Greek mythology, and I mean, I like looking at pictures of the Greek islands. That looks like fabulous place to visit. I think that would be one of the places I'd want to visit. But anyway, so but the story, it goes along. So this is about this rich lady who her husband, I think, had bought, she's an actress, a famous actress, and I don't know, she might have been 40 or something like that, and she has a kid, an older teenager who's might be 16, 17. He's graduating high school, and he later he tells her he wants to go off and become an actor, and she's like, no. But anyway, so she's kind of, I think, kind of retired, and so she wants to get away, and she wants to go to this island that she owns. Her husband gifted her, and her husband died. He was a lot older than her, and so, and it wasn't, I don't know if he's the father of her son, but anyway, so she owns this island in Greece, and she asks some friends to come, and while they're there, somebody dies, and that's the big mystery. And so it kind of had a little touch of thinking of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, sort of like that. It wasn't, I mean, it was completely different, but they had the little, maybe the island and somebody dies vibes that I was getting. But it really, I think it was a good twist to what, when you find out the ta-da moment, and then the twist that takes, the several twists and turns it takes after that, I think are really interesting. I found it, that was something, I'm sure there's a lot of other books that may have had something similar, but I haven't read a lot like that. So it was newer. a newer theory, a thriller theory to me, and that made me like it. And so yeah, so they go to this island. They're there to confront some of the friend. The she's there to confront some of the friends about certain thing, and then it takes a turn and it goes into like another thing that's happening, and there's also a caretaker that lives on the island, and so she invited her one of her best friends, a guy friend, and her best lady friend, and then she has her husband and her son, and then she has like a housekeeper slash assistant lady, and like you have this caretaker that lives there full time, and he's lived on his own for, I forget how long she's on this island, but takes care of it. And so there's all these other side things going on, and you suspect these people. You suspect everyone, and yeah, the way it ends was very interesting. You find out the truth, and the way this is narrated and written, it's from one of the perspectives of the people. Is like he's writing this diary or whatever, this telling this. So at the very end, when you find out, I guess, who he's writing to, it was like, oh, you brought that in. Okay, okay. So yeah, I gave it a 5. It was a great read. It was a great ride down this little thriller story. This is my favorite Alex Michaelitis one so far. I mean, I loved it way more than The Maidens, and like I said, I like The Maidens more than I like The Silent Patient. So this one, the storytelling, the little twists and turns, and the things you find out, the truth, it was really great. It's not that big a book. It's 298 pages, and I got the book on loan from the library, so I actually read the book. But yeah, that was great. And then the next one I finished finally. I've been trying for probably as long as I had this book, but was 1776 by David McCullough, and I did read this to commemorate the 4th of July here in America. If you're watching from somewhere else, um, our independence from Britain, England specifically. You should know the story even if you don't live here. If not, Google it. I listened to the audio. I have the book. I read a little bit of the book, but I listened to the audio. It wasn't that long. I didn't write down how long it was, but it's just a nonfiction about the American Revolution, and it was about the year of 1776 and the happenings and goings ons, the different people involved. Not obviously not everyone, but there was a lot of different little informations about different people involved, and the leaders, and some of the people that were like the generals or whatever of the of the war. Um so it was a good little biographical look at just that one particular year of 1776. I found it really interesting. I'm an American Revolution history buff. I mean, if we was to pick a period in history, it's probably, well, it's US history usually because there's a lot of things: the American Revolution, colonial times, Civil War, World War II, World War One. I mean, yeah, can't get enough information about those. But yeah, so that was good. I gave it a 4. I like I said, just had a lot of information about that one. Just a little, it's just it's the book's not that big. I don't it's 300, maybe I know it's under 400 pages. It's not that thick. But it was great information, and I enjoyed it. And I listened to the audio because the author, David McCullough, he was the narrator. So I just, you know, like the sound of his voice, I guess. And then I also read, these are all July. I read Jaws for Shark Week, and I gave that a 4 star. I wasn't sure how I was gonna. I actually read the book. I have the book. It's an old copy, covers ripped. If you've seen my TBR for July, you'll have seen the sad shape that book's in. But I gave it 4 stars. Now I've seen this movie, I don't know, I would say hundreds of times since I was a kid till even now. I watched it this summer. I watch it every summer. um, but this book was written in 1974. I think the movie came out in 76. I'm not sure. Unless it came out, I don't know that it came out in 74, but or maybe 75. I don't know. But this tells a tale of a rogue shark roaming the waters of Amity, small beach seaside town south of I think it was New York, because they talk about the city people coming for the summertime and hanging out on the beach. Well, there's a shark, and so you know the sheriff, he wants to close the beaches. If you've seen the movie, I don't even really need to go into a lot of synopsis for this. There's a shark. It's eating people. The sheriff wants to close the beach. The city council says, no, you're going to take our money away that we need to earn for the summer to stay afloat during the rest of the year. Small town. Um, and so there's a conflict between the sheriff and the people, the people that have uh businesses, city council. One of the guys is, or I don't know if he's the mayor. He also has real estate, and so he rents out these houses. And yeah, so it's causing problems. Sharks causing problems. Sheriff doesn't want anybody else killed. These people don't really. They think, oh, it'll go away. Just just open our beach. I'm like, man, I wouldn't be going. I'm a little, you know, I lived in Hawaii for a little bit, and I love the beach. And I did go in the water, and I snorkeled, and I loved it because I could see in the water, like a clear water. Like I don't like lakes and rivers because I can't see. I can't see the bottom. Maybe Tahoe. I haven't been to Tahoe. I know I've seen a lot of my friends and people I know have been to Tahoe. I have not been in the Lake Tahoe. But I've seen pictures. I know it's clear. I might do Lake Tahoe, but I do the waters of Hawaii, even though it's probably more shark infested than anything. But anyway, that was sidetracked. Um, I do enjoy watching Shark Week. No, I do not ever want to be in the water with a shark. Knowingly or unknowingly, I don't want it there. So this was an interesting because this book was a little different than the movie, and I probably enjoy. I will say did enjoy the movie version more than the book. Now, I did enjoy the book because I never read it before as long as I've had it, and I did give it 4 stars. The reason I gave it probably would have been a 5 if we had a little bit of more thriller aspect of the shark chase, shark thing, thriller thing happening, but it kind of veered off. Well, it didn't veer off. This is the way Peter Benchley, the author, wrote it. Um, it's his book. He can write it any way he wants. I'm just I'm just a reader. Uh, but there's this so the sheriff's married, and so there's this aspect about him and his relationship with his wife, and his wife, spoiler alert, has an affair. And he suspects, which this is what threw me off, is he never, like, I feel like the way it's written, he never suspected her of anything else like that before, except for this one time when she came home. She volunteered at a hospital or something. She came home from work early, and he said he called, and she didn't answer. And she's like, "Well, I was sleeping." And he's like, "Well, you didn't hear the phone ring." And she goes, "Well, I have sleeping pills that I took. I didn't feel well, so I took the sleeping pill, and I probably didn't hear it." And so just because of that, he suspects something, but he doesn't know for sure. And then this other guy, uh, Hooper, the character of Hooper, he's a gosh, I can't think of the name he used. The somebody who studies sharks. Um, they have him come to town and try to figure out how to get rid of this shark or if he's still around. And so Hooper, which in the movie is played by Richard Dreyfuss, and I absolutely love the character of Hooper in the movie. Kind of not so much in the book because yeah, he supposedly had the affair with a wife, or he did have an affair. They had an affair. They had a fling, a one night stand. I'm going to tell you that. Spoiler. Um, but from all of that, just because the sheriff tried to contact the character of Hooper one day from like he was calling him, he needed some info. He wanted to know about information about what he's found about this shark. Um, got- I got fuzz about this shark or whatever. He couldn't contact him. And then when he called home to his wife, who said he couldn't get in contact with her, he all of a sudden is suspicious that something's going on. And I'm like, that's no. You can't just because your wife, your wife says she had sleeping pills that she took because one day she didn't answer the phone when you called, like, oh, she's having an affair. I didn't find that plausible. I mean, there's got to be some other stuff going on that I didn't. Maybe I missed it. I don't think I did. I don't because that really that really made me like that's not realistic. Well, the whole thing about the shark, Amy, is not realistic either. But okay, it's a story. So anyway, I had to kind of just set that aside. But I think because of that whole scenario there in the story, that took away from time that maybe I thought I really wanted more time about this theory and the thriller and the mystery of the shark and things happening, that it took away from more maybe story of that. So I gave it 4 because I didn't really enjoy the whole she had an affair and now he's suspecting out of one day. I just I didn't like that. But overall, as far as the shark part, chasing the shark and trying to find the shark and what the shark's sneaking around in the water doing. That was great, just like the movie. But in this little added bit that's not in the movie, which I'm glad because I think it would be less. And then in the book he has 3 kids, in the movie there's 2 kids. Um that's the difference. And then I think at the end a little bit. Yeah, at the end it's a little different than in the movie, a little. But yeah, I'm happier with the movie. But yeah, Jaws, Peter Benchley, 4 star. I'm glad I finally read it. I've had that on my TBR for quite some time, meaning to read it every summer since I don't know when I've had that book for a long time, and I finally got to it. Cheers to you, Amy. Cheers to Shark Week. Another enjoyable summer. And then oh, I had 2 audios from Tanya Kappas. The first one I read was it was 5 hours. Her audios for her little short little these are cozy mysteries are 5 hours, usually about 5 hours. You can get through it in a day, no problem. Um, so the first in the series of Campers and Criminals, it's a cozy mystery series. The number 1 book I read was Beaches, Bungalows, and Burglaries, the audio. I gave that a 3 stars. It was the first one. I liked it. I didn't overly like it, but it was cute. I liked that. I had listened to another one of her series, the holiday mystery series that I really enjoy. So this is a different series. It's not the same main character. But this is a lady who her husband was arrested for a Ponzi scheme. They lived in New York, and she's lost everything. And her lawyer tells her, "Well, you've inherited this campground, which is in Kentucky, a place called Normal, Kentucky, and she doesn't have a house. She doesn't have, even her, I think her clothes and I mean everything. She's just there's nothing." And she finds out that her husband hid some money in a drawer in the house, and so before the FBI came, or after they came, she found this money that was hidden in the drawer, which I think it was like $100,000 cash. And she took that money, and the lawyer says, "Here's this keys to this camper wagon that you now have," because she had no vehicle. Um, and she's like, "Oh, well, you can live in that too. And by the way, you've inherited this campground in Kentucky, so maybe you could stay there." So she's not happy about it. She's from Kentucky. Um, but she married this guy. I think he was a little bit older than her, and they didn't have any children or anything, and so she's pissed because her husband put her in this position, and so she ends up taking this camper van, and heads off to this Normal, Kentucky. She don't know anything about camping or how to take care of her van or do anything. So when she gets to this place, she has a brochure, and it shows her what this place looks like, and it's Happy Trails Campground in Normal, Kentucky. And oh, and her name's Mae West, by the way. Maybelline West, but she goes by May, so it's Mae West. She's a new owner of the Happy Trails Campground. And so Mae West if anybody out there is a lot younger and don't know who Mae West, she was a uh, black and white movies, older movies with this gal actress is Mae West, and she was I don't know. You can Google it. I don't know how to explain Mae West. Excuse me. I don't know how to explain the actress Mae West, but yeah, Mae West. So anyway, she ends up at this campground. She has this birthday. She's like, "Oh, this is gonna be great. Maybe this is gonna work. Maybe I can take this campground. Maybe I can, do good. Maybe I can sell it and make some money. It looks great. Love the brochure." She gets there and finds out when she comes in that this place is not what it looked like in the brochure. So that's one thing. So she's got a lot of work. She only has $100,000 cash. And so there's a Hank, the deputy, comes around because, oh, by the way, when she gets there, they find a body in this lake. Well, this lake has dissipated a lot and needs to be cleaned up. This whole campground needs work. But anyway, off this dock at this lake, they find this dead body. Well, it turns out that her husband had escaped from jail and somehow he had ended up dead in this lake. So she yeah. So they're trying to figure so the mystery is who killed her husband. They think the sheriff thinks deputy whatever he is thinks that she's a suspect, which obviously yeah. And she's like, "No, I did not even know he escaped from jail." And so anyway, so it goes into this big mystery of who killed her husband, who would be most likely, and how did he wind up at the Happy Trails campground when he was, arrested, and I think he was in New York, and this is in Kentucky. So he had escaped. Now she's there, and she don't know how to do anything. So Hank, the deputy, shows her how to do some things with her camper that she had no idea. And so he fixed some things for her, and she's like, "Oh, thanks," And they get to be friends, but then it's kind of like a love hate thing because he does some things and she doesn't like him, but then the way he acts sometimes, and she likes him, and it's up and down. And then yeah, it just goes from there. It's just a cute little cozy mystery. It's not other than, they find a dead body, but I don't think it's graphic or even really a lot of foul language or anything in it. And it's just a cute little camper mystery. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. This one was a 3 though. It wasn't like an over the top. Plus I had to get used to listen to the narrator. I think the voice at first threw me off the way they sounded, and I mean, you can't help that. That's your voice is your voice. So, but it took me by the time I got to the second one I listened to, I was feeling much better about it. But it might throw some people. It kind of seems like a little dry and monotone. And I was like, oh Lord, I don't know. So I think maybe I gave it a 3 because at first that was not really working out for me. But then I got used to it because it's the same lady so far. And then so that brings me to the second one, which I did give a 4-star because I enjoyed this one a little bit more. So that was the first one. This is the actual number 3 because the number 2 has for the audio has a long wait on the Libby app, and I can't unless I buy the book um or get it on a Kindle or something like that. I don't have a Kindle. I don't have a Kindle. I have my phone. Um you know what I mean. Um This is the number 3. So the number 2, there was a long I put it in my cart and there's still a long wait. I'm still going to listen to it. And this is 5 hours. It's Forest Fishing and Forgery by Tony Kappas, and this was the 2019. That one was 2018. This is 2019. And again, cozy mystery. I really like this one. This one I think I really liked it. Had a little dog in it this time. So somehow between the second one and this one, she's acquired a dog now that's pregnant, and it's waiting for her to have puppies. But that enhanced my like of it. She's still, it's still happening at the Happy Trails campground. There's still crimes going on. They're starting to clean up the campground. She's learning a lot about her camper van. She's making friends with the people that work there or around in town, and she's really making a home for herself at this point. I mean, I don't know in the second one yet, but at this point she's getting comfortable in her environment, and she's kind of has like a little boyfriend in this one that's not the Deputy Hank. But then she kind of had a little like, I don't know, do I like Hank or do I like this guy? Um, she was a little confused in the romance department. But yeah, so this one is about these guys come to this campground. They had reserved some spots for a bachelor party, and then another guy um that's around, he wants to put in a he wants to, because it's on the verge of at the edge of this Daniel Boone National Park where this campground is, so people can come to this campground, camp out, and they can go over to this national park and explore or do whatever. So there's somebody that so there's this forest ranger that ends up they find dead in this park. uh and so that's the whole mystery of finding out who, and then some things kind of mysterious are happening with this group of guys that show up for this bachelor party. And so that's a little mystery of that. It's a really cute little mystery. Like, again, it's The Campers and Criminals. This is the number 3 by Tanya Kappas, and I really enjoyed this one a lot more than the first one. But the first one really gives you a heads up on how she got there, why she's there, you know. So it would be important to read the first one first, I think, in the series, because otherwise you don't. I mean, that gives a lot of background of why she's there. Um, but yeah, so this is a cute one. Like I said, I have the other one I have on. Well, I have the second one, Tonya Kappas. I say Tonya because it's Tonya, but so that makes me want to say Tonya. But I know when I hear it, it's Tanya. Anyway, this is 5 hours. It's motorhomes, maps, and murder. So we're gonna have another little murder. It's 5 hours again, and that one's on my shelf on the Libby app that I hope to get to soon. And the last one I have, gosh, this is a long video. So sorry. I just I I take a long time to explain. Um, I have for my July reviews is Holly by Stephen King. Really, really, really enjoyed this. I gave it 5 stars. I was just, I read this in a, maybe a week. I read it in a week. It's because I was reading it at night. So I just whizzed through that. For me, I whizzed through it. I read I actually got the book on loan from the library, the physical book. So I read the physical book. It's a horror thriller. It has thriller. It has the main character of Holly Gibney. That was the Holly Gibney character showed up in Stephen King's Mr. Mercedes trilogy, or Bill Hodges trilogy. I call it the Mr. Mercedes, but I think it's officially Bill Hodges. But she came to light in that trilogy, and I really enjoyed her character. I'm glad Stephen continued writing this character in some different things, because after I read the Bill Hodges trilogy, I found out she was in another one. I listened to the audio. It's called The Outsider by Stephen King, obviously Stephen King. Um, I enjoyed her character in that. She's just this quirky little character that ends up working for Bill Hodges at his private investigator in detective agency. And Bill Hodges used to be a cop. He's retired, and he started this little finders keepers investigate and I think he started it after the first one. But anyway, Holly became involved from there, and she's continued on the second one and the third one, and then she went into the this story of the outsider, which I enjoyed. I don't remember what I rated that. I did enjoy it. It was an interesting twist in that one too, because I didn't expect what was I was having a hard time figuring out what happened, because things that it talked about was not making like it couldn't possibly happen. Um, but anyway, and then I found out that she was in a short story he wrote, um, If It Bleeds, which I have that book I have to get through. That's one of my books that's due back on the 7th. but it's 4 short stories. The book is If It Bleeds, and one of the main stories in it is If It Bleeds, and it has a Holly Gibney character. So I've kind of, in the book Holly, it references back to the If It Bleeds story. So there's some giveaways in Holly that um some spoilers in Holly. So if you want to read them in order, probably do If It Bleeds before Holly. But I was able to get Holly because Holly's been off and on long wait for me, either on Libby or at the library. So I put it on there. It became available probably within a week. I got it, so I took it. And then the If It Bleeds was a little longer and a little longer wait. So I have that one now. So I'll probably read when I get to that book, I'll read the If It Bleeds story first and then I'll read the other three. But yeah, it's just a horror thriller. Holly Gibney, she's the main character in this, and she's you know, runs the Finders Keepers, and she gets this she's her mother's passed away from COVID, and her uncle's in a rest home, and she's been living on her own and doing fine, and the younger characters from Bill Hodges, uh kind of one of the characters, he helps her out with the business sometimes, and she has an ex-cop who was a friend of Bill's that also works for at Finders Keepers, but he's also down with. So this is the time it was written, and Stephen writes an excerpt about um him writing this, and he was writing it at the time, I think, of COVID, when COVID was out, so, or a little after or during, I don't know, but there's a lot of COVID references in here, things being shut down, and the partner, her partner now, he Pete, I think is his name. He's has COVID, and so he can't really go out on any of the things. And there's also a lady who's a cop from uh I think it was Bill Hodges trilogy. She asks for her, helps her out a little bit. Not necessarily works for her. She's still a cop, but she, answers questions, or Holly will tell her about something. She'll investigate something or whatever. But yeah, so it's still the kind of finders keepers investigative aspect of it, and Holly trying to figure out how she gets on this latest case. But she gets this one case, some buddy goes missing, and there's been a couple of people going missing in this town, and they're trying to figure out, one, they're people that really don't have a lot of family or friends uh, around that would notice them missing. And then there's this older couple that are professors or retired, or Amratus professors, kind of retire, but they're not, they have a little, you retire, you still, they got a little title, but they don't work full time as professors. But so there's these older professors, and then, right away things are happening, and what's happening. But then on the side, you have Holly trying to figure out what's happened to these people that's disappeared. Excuse me. But at the same time, so it goes back, and it does go back and forth in time. It goes back from, say, like, she got, oh, I know what prompted her to get this thing. That's She got a job from this lady. Her daughter went missing, and they don't know what happened to her, and so she's hired Holly to try to figure out where she's at, what happened to her. And so that's how she gets on this case. And come to find out, these other people have gone missing, and this older couple is mixed up in the middle of this, but Holly doesn't, she can't connect the dots yet. It's just, there's a side story over here with this older couple, her retired professors, and then there's Holly trying to look for this one girl, and then it starts connecting these missing people together, like this web kind of just starts intertangling and meeting. And then, as you get on with the story, and then she's figuring out, hey, these things could be connected. Anyway, so that's how it goes, like that. But it's really interesting. I will say, this one is graphic. Well, the Mr. Mercedes trilogy was graphic. So this is graphic too. This one kind of grossed me out a little bit. There's a theme that's happening. I'm not going to give it away, but it is graphic. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It is a horror. It is more on the horror and thriller. Um, but yeah, I just thought Holly was a great book. It was a 5 star. It just kept me interested the whole way. There wasn't really a part that lulled that I didn't like, or I was just like, oh man, I can't get through this right now. I was like, every night I was reading it, I was excited to get through, and then I would just get tired and I'd have to stop reading. So, anyway, so that's the last of my book reviews. That long list. Thanks for if you've watched all the way through and you want to like the video, go ahead. Um, yeah. So that wraps up the book reviews for one for May. There's June, July, and we're continuing on with our reading extravaganza into August. So cross your fingers and have high hopes, and we'll be back here on BookTube Tuesday. This is BookTube Thursday, BookTube Tuesday, and yeah, have a good weekend coming up. Hopefully it's gonna be cooler, and you guys stay out of the fire zones if you can. I don't know. It looks like all of California is on fire. There's fires everywhere, which usually happens between July and August every year. We should just expect it. But yeah, well, thanks for coming by and dealing with this very long video. And I did get through a lot of books this July. I'm hoping to get through an enormous amount of books in August. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here on Tuesday.